You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is we're doing live. Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000. My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't chase me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up. Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those other wonderful places where podcasts are available. I'm Cian, and with me this week is Kev. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Cian. I'm doing well. And how are you?
I am at the end of teaching before the Easter break, so I'm being run on caffeine. I actually got coffee today, which I never do. And it was wonderful as an inexperienced coffee drinker because I felt great for exactly an hour, and then I felt twice as bad.
And then everything came shooting at the other end.
Just tea. Just stick to tea.
Stick to tea.
It's the lesson I already knew. I didn't know what I was thinking.
But Cian, have you considered spice?
That's as good a segue as any. Yes. We're going to talk about Dune this week. Well, I'm going to talk about Dune, and you're going to wildly speculate on it. And Dara will wander in at some point. And
I'm going to listen pleasantly, which makes for a great podcast.
But yes, we'll talk about Dune 2. We've also got some thoughts on Final Fantasy. Is it called Rebirth?
Yes, Rebirth.
I'm really confused on the naming of the Final Fantasy remake bits.
I don't think they'll make sense until the third one comes out, if they will, but we'll get to it.
Okay, all right. It's like, it kind of reminds me of in Doctor Who, there was one really good story called Renaissance of the Daleks or Resurrection of the Daleks, and then ever since then they've been trying to find creative or words to keep it going. Resurrection, revolution, resolution, and I got maybe that will keep happening with Final Fantasy, but we're not there yet.
None of them will ever be better than Metal Gear eventually landing on Revengeance.
Revengeance of the Daleks. Yes. Someone get on that now. But yes, let's talk about Dune 2. I saw it last weekend. I'm sure you won't be shocked to hear that I loved it, but I'd love to hear where you're coming from first, Kev. So what's your experience with Dune?
My experience with Dune is pretty limited. I've really only seen. I still have to see. I still have to see part 2. Cards on the table. I just haven't had time to get to a 3-hour movie recently. I live far away from the cinema these days. But I stand pretty simply on it in that I watched the first part, thought this is incredible. I don't want to wait 3 years to find out what happens, so I read the book.
Funnily enough, I had the exact same reaction, but earlier in the process, because some what are they called when the press announcement, I suppose. I'm sure there's a more technical term where it came out Villeneuve directing Dune in 2 movies with Javier Bardem, and none of the rest of them were announced. And I kind of went, that's never going to get made. I'm just going to read it and see what it's like in my head. But sure enough, here we are. So
here we are. Villeneuve has pumped millions of dollars into it, and it's paying off. That's the shocking thing.
Isn't it bizarre? Like right as Marvel are sort of taking a little catnap Here's allegedly the new Star Wars, though to be honest, got very little to do with Star
It's
Wars.
the old
That's
Star
the comparison
Wars.
I've heard. Yes. It's worth pointing out that I believe the book was written in the 60s. So Arrakis precedes Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, Luke Skywalker wishes he was Paul Atreides.
Luke, Paul, I'm sure they're like, are they both of like Jesus' disciple names?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you, Stevie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, both of them wrote gospel, absolutely. I personally follow the gospel of one Duncan, Idaho.
Yes. Now we talked about this on a different episode, and to be fair, if he was a Fremen, that would be ridiculous. Since he's an outsider, I think it's relatively fine.
It is the fact that it is a sci-fi series, and they go to space, and there is a man named. They are still naming people Duncan, Idaho, when they are traveling across the galaxy.
I know, but that's kind of, you can chalk that up to like being a nice detail. Like maybe by the time we have like 30 odd planets to live on,
I'm sorry,
Iowa is like a very exotic place. Like, you know?
I'm sorry, the leader of his house is named Leto Atreides. We're at a point where names are kind of out there, and this man is from Alabama, and his name is Duncan, Idaho. They are in space.
All right. Well, look, he's not even in Dune 2. But okay, because you have, I know we'll get to Dune 2 eventually, but like, so you saw the film first and then read the book, which encompasses part 2. So was there anything kind of surprising about coming to the book after the film or anything like that? Or
I think like to kind of color what you'll probably say about Dune 2, is that like even the book does split pretty cleanly where the movies do after, because just to spoil part 1, the assault on Arrakis at the end of the first movie is at about the halfway mark, and does kind of the whole book does just kind of change perspective and almost change narrative about that point, and things just start getting that's when things start getting pretty surreal.
yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of a shallow comparison, but like the Dune book has a lot of first person narrators, and it's kind of a red wedding moment where lots of points of view on the story just vanish, and you're sort of left in the wilderness as far as who you're following in the story. Obviously Paul is still around, but like a lot of the narrative heft is just gone. You don't see the likes of what the Harkonnens are up to for quite a while after that, like that kind of thing,
Yeah, and it's about that point that the likes of prophecy and militia guerrilla warfare really start to crop up.
Yeah,
and it feels like halfway through it almost feels like a different genre of book.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, it's they handled it as well as they could, especially compared to the 80s one. Whereas I suspect it would have been so easy to have had the fall of the House of Arrakis be the third act thing. But I thought it was very brave to move it a bit closer to the middle. Because it's watching it on Netflix compared to seeing it in the cinema, you do feel the pace suddenly drag a bit once 3/4 of the cast vanish, but I still think it was the right creative decision, so because you mentioned a time skip roughly around that point in the book, funnily enough, not as big a thing in the film. It picks up more immediately than you'd expect. So kind of to circle back to Dune 2 itself, basically for Paul and all the Fremen and all that, it kind of picks up where we left off. He's just joined them. He's kind of joining in their sort of guerrilla warfare, like attacks on like all the invaders and everything. And the mom is still pregnant, and it's kind of the first stretch there is about him getting integrated into the Fremen and everything. But they actually hold back on a lot of stuff that happens very, very quickly in the book. And it's going to be hard not to spoil this because what has happened in the book around this point has not happened in the film. But I'll tiptoe around it, which is that the time skip you mentioned, I think they jump forward 4 or 5 years. And like we go from like, I think Paul about to join the Fremen to like having been with Chani for years, and the baby's his mum's baby has already arrived and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, by the time they pick up, like he is pretty much he's almost firmly set up as Muad'Dib, as like the chosen one, as the Fremen hero of prophecy.
Yes. They don't take a shortcut there. It is kind of it is slower and kind of more immediate. And funnily enough, unlike the incredibly jarring moment in the 80s movie, where all of a sudden Paul has a sister who is like psychic and 5, but talking like a 50-year-old, they just make the very sensible decision to not have the baby turn up in this movie. Probably wise. She's still around, still imminent, but like the film does this really interesting thing, and I think it was Stevie, my wife, that caught it, which is that they kind of bring the sort of, is he actually the chosen one, or is he buying to his own hype thing to the forefront by having the mum go all in on the religion. And some of this is to do with plot mechanics, because she has to drink the magic worm stuff that makes her psychic. But she is still knowingly, like, essentially game playing within the Fremen. Whereas Chani is like as straight as an arrow. And she's like, look, let's just become better fighters. Let's just work together. Let's just protect our land. Let's just, like, none of that. Like, she's not hostile, but that's her point of view on everything. She's skeptic. And the film does a nice job of sort of gently pulling Paul in both directions, to the point that you don't really know what he's thinking. And, like, is any of this kind of reminiscent from what you read in the book? Like,
yeah, well, it's interesting that it sounds like they kind of detach from Paul's point of view, considering it was through his lens that you're reading the book.
No, it's a very Chani-centric film.
Okay,
there's a case to be made that she is the point of view character here.
Okay, no, it's really interesting, actually. It's all coming back to me, yeah. But no, I think that's just it's a tact that makes sense. And I think it's, creatively, that's just because, I mean, to take things, I think there were sections of the book that were from Jessica, the mother's point of view. And that was bizarre because that woman is so in deep into, like, the whole space witch lore.
The Bene Gesserits,
the Bene Gesserits. That, like, there's no view of that is not colored by just freakazoid stuff. You know?
Yeah. Well, this is where it gets a bit hard to untangle book from film, because the first film established that the Bene Gesserit, the witches, the ones who do the needle test with Paul and the start of both original films, like, they have essentially created this prophecy amongst themselves and spread it out across the galaxy. And now Paul is ticking all the boxes for their prophecy, but they don't want him. This isn't what they planned, but it's too late. You can't put a Messiah idea into the universe and control it. But that is kind of the push and pull. Again, it's kind of hard not to get into spoilers, but basically, once he sort of starts to rise to prominence, and I think I mentioned this in the WhatsApp, after the wonderful moment where you have to believe that Dave Bautista would run away from Timothée Chalamet, like, the Bene Gesserit are like, can we get a new Messiah? And they find one of the bald, freaky Harkonnens, played wonderfully by Austin Butler from the Elvis film, with the Baz Luhrmann one last year. Although you'd never know it was him under all the prosthetics, but he's really, really good. taking on the mantle formerly played by Sting in the 80s one.
Yes, and like from the clips I've seen, both of them go for two different sides of a very similar coin.
Yes.
In going absolutely bat honky to the wall.
Yeah, actually, it's both his performance and the execution of his appearance in the film are really, really effective. More similar to the 80s one than you'd expect. But, like, they dedicate, I'd say, a decent amount of the middle of the film to setting him up. And you do, after a while, get this sense of, ooh, I was getting kind of like Darth Maul flashbacks. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I want to see what this bad guy's up to. You know, like I'm not rooting for him. You're not sympathetic, but like he feels genuinely dangerous in a way that surprised. A lot of villains don't in cinema nowadays. Like,
yeah, I'm not surprised. He did kind of just show up all of a sudden in the book and was just, hey, this guy, super dangerous. You've just gotta believe me.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's worth actually talking kind of about the structure, because the first stretch of the film is very kind of Paul and Chani centric, and sort of setting up all the lore and, like, you know, learning to ride the worms, all that. And by the way, like, I think I said this to my friend Martin the other day, still doing a good job of, like, hiding the worms without it being frustrating. Like, there are extended sequences of, like, worm riding where you're still like, oh, I can't wait to see the worms. I maintain that, is it pronounced Villeneuve? I'm still not 100% sure, even though I love all his films.
I think so. I think it's Denis Villeneuve.
I maintain that Villeneuve could make Jaws 6 hours long and not show the shark, and you wouldn't be bored. Like, he's just great at just giving you enough.
That's because when they do show up, like, it pays off. Like the scene near the end of the first movie where it just towers over.
Yes.
Like, just looming threat.
Everything was gorgeous. Yeah, it's actually breaking my neck back. So similar thing here. They hide it just enough, but like so that it pays off later on. But anyway, structure of the film. So the first stretch is very much Fremen centric. You kind of get appearances of, I'm really sorry, I don't know the character's name, Dave Bautista's Harkonnen character taking on the hunt. When that does not go well for a stretch, the Harkonnens essentially fire him, and then we get an extended sequence in black and white of, like, arena combat with our new villain, and we spend loads of time with him and the Bene Gesserit, and they're sort of setting up the new thing. But they stick to it. It's not like we're hopping, here's a scene, there's a scene, here's a scene, there's a scene. Like, once we land in a location, we spend a bit of time in it. And when you kind of come back to Paul and stuff, it does feel like the world is a lot kind of more fleshed out and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really well executed. Like, it never feels like it's dragging. It's just like I'm hugely impressed that they got this much dense information in, especially, like, considering a lot had to be cut from part one. Like, essentially the narrator of the book, played by Florence Pugh, only turns up here, having been cut from movie one for incredibly sensible reasons. But now they have to set up the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken, and all that kind of stuff. And it never feels like you're being given too much information. It's doled out at a very, very nice pace. And the movie, of course, looks gorgeous. Like, it's a fantastic looking film.
I have to ask, because I was fascinated by this casting decision ever since I first heard about it.
Yeah.
How is Christopher Walken as the Grand Emperor of Space?
I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, it's you know what? It's a bit like the worms themselves, because he's in the first scene of the movie, and there's lots and lots of shots of him just receiving letters and looking sad. And Florence Pugh does all the talking with the Bene Gesserit who are meddling in and all that kind of stuff. And it's only once we get to the very end of the film, which I'm kind of reluctant to talk about it, that he sort of pipes up, and suddenly he's this presence, and he's
It's more just I'm interested to know, again, not specifics about the end of the movie, but just more, does he go, like, is it actually like a very respectable and actually dramatic performance, or does he go crank up to 11 Christopher Walken?
No, it's to be honest, you're asking me to remember something from 3 hours and 10 minutes into a 3 hour, 30-minute movie. But no, it's not like your typical like Walken performance. It's very restrained. It's kind of slightly somber kind of performance. It's like, I mean, I don't want to be like kind of shallow, but sort of it was a nice casting choice in that, like with the worms, you're sort of waiting, kind of, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? You know, he's not like Emperor Palpatine. He is just sort of like, because they make it clear very early on that he loved the Atreides and fecked them over because it was the best like business move. So there's a sort of like, there's a pathos to him that's really, really nice. I have seen some critics criticizing his performance. I don't personally agree. But like, if you're expecting some, like, you know, him to do the weapon of choice or something, no. No, it's more of a symbolic kind of role, like, you know.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know why, but my brain kind of had me thinking, is he gonna go for something like he did with, for an odd pull here, King Louis from the Jungle Book?
I see what you mean. Yeah. No. He takes it seriously. Like, you know, it's more of a Pulp Fiction, sort of slightly quirky than like a completely off the walls out there. Like, you know, no, but it's really good and like top notch cast joining this film. Like, you know, obviously with like the likes of Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken joining. Léa Seydoux is one of the Bene Gesserit as well. Like Josh Brolin comes back. Like there's a cameo, which I won't spoil, but they do have a flash forward to the one who plays Paul's sister who doesn't arrive in the film. It's like, oh my god, they're getting everyone. They got a famous actor in for that one scene, and
I think I know who that is just through press announcements.
Oh, have they announced it?
I think she was at the premiere. And I don't think they said
Anna Taylor-Joy. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like and there was a moment that made myself and Stevie burst out laughing because it's near the start, and the first kind of stretch is Paul hanging out with the Fremen, and you've got your northern Fremen who, like, you know, are all very skeptic, and your southern Fremen who are very, very kind of religious diehards. Javier Bardem's in the southern one. This isn't the funny thing, but there is a little line which I wonder was addressing some criticism from the first movie, where Zendaya as Chani points to Javier Bardem and goes, he's from the south, I'm from the north. Have you not noticed we sound different? Justify how you have like sort of like very Los Angeles sounding Fremen in with a slightly more exotic Fremen, like, you know.
That's good.
that took me out a little bit, but like, all right, fine, you're doing your world building, whatever.
You get one wink at the camera, and that's it.
Yeah. She like pulls the IMAX camera and looks dead into it. But anyway, I bring up this scene because it's got something which I feel like Monty Python fans will respond to, because basically they're all getting into a brouhaha outside the cave while the mum's doing her becoming the new witch ritual, and they're all the northern ones are saying, oh, he's not the prophet, and Paul stands up and goes, she's right, I'm not the prophet, I'm just a man who wants to help you rebuild your world. And Javier Bardem, dead serious, turns to all of his friends and goes, he is humble, just as the prophet would be. It's literally like for Brian. Only the Messiah would deny his divinity.
Exactly. They might as well have gotten Eric Idle to say that.
What chance does that give me?
I've got the prophet's shoe.
Oh my god, it's just like I feel bad because like I had like 4 or 5 teenage boys like talking through the film, and I just told them off, and like a row of 8 like kind of teenagers on their phone watching TikTok, And I was falling on my high horse for like, shh, it's very serious. And then I burst out laughing at this completely inappropriately, but it just caught me off guard. Like, you know, also, like, I don't want to get into like a generational thing, but there were like a couple of people on their phone on TikTok scrolling after about half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie, and 2 hours in, one of them said, "It's still going. Why is it still going?" And like, I don't want to be like kind of one of those people. Like, there's no.
What, you mean, Dara?
It's hard enough without generational fighting. Who needs that? But like, with sincerity in my heart, you can leave. No one's making you stay. You can come back, go get a drink. The movie will still be here. It's not as if you're invested if you're on your phone. Just come and go. Grab a hot dog. We'll keep it going. We'll catch you up if you want, you know?
Why did you come in then? why are you here?
Yeah, like I don't want to be like all like the youngins with their TikToks and their pop music and their sports shoes. But like, in all seriousness, like, you know, no one's making you stay. It's okay. Like, just don't make your life more miserable and mine.
If you're, hey, you chose to be here. If you want to just throw TikTok, you can leave.
Yeah, the lighting's better outside.
Take pictures out there and not in the cinema.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, that's a little wander. I just had to savor that one moment of feeling old, which I'll never like be able to reclaim. But like,
no, it's the shadow of Dara. Just event. It's like a prescience of his coming. He will be here soon. However, in anticipation, we had to pull out a Dara complaint.
Yeah, well, it's not even a complaint; it's a bemusement.
Kian, did you have a cinema hot dog?
No, we had Maltesers and popcorn.
One of these days, you got to throw it.
Eventually, it's coming any day now. But anyway, sorry. Is there anything you want to ask or speculate on Dune 2? I have worked very hard not to spoil it because I feel like it is worth seeing. Definitely,
No,
it's worth going in relatively blind, and I went in blind, and I hope I didn't spoil too much. But do you have any speculations or anything? Or
I don't think so. And it's not a movie I've been on the fence about going to. It's what I'm dead set on getting to. Yeah. I just haven't had the time because I've got to plan a wedding.
Also, just one more thing. And I got like the seal of approval from my martial artist wife. The combat is really good. Like I was impressed, and then I kind of like had to ask her afterwards. Was that good? She's like, yeah, it's alright. And there's something really nice about the fighting, and I only clocked it in once the arena stuff started. But like, just the action in this feels like it's a lot stronger than in the first film, because of my memory of the first film of fighting it was good. Like, you know, Jason Momoa and Hallway, what's not to like? But like, this one opens with a really striking. It's the Harkonnens, like, or possibly Sardaukar, like people in grey, tall baddies, whatever. Like landing in the desert, and this is how the film opens. And they're going down with their ships and their snipers, and it's all the Fremen like leaping up from under the desert and like, you know, moving the worms around with thumpers, and there's such a great sense of atmosphere and environment. But like the actual combat, it's all pretty much knife combat. It's really hand to hand, it's really close, and it feels like there's none of the florid, like, you know, Phantom Menace-y, like doing backflips and that kind of stuff, or at least not that I noticed. It's all very like, it feels like every single fight move is the killing move. You know, it's very brutal, it's very efficient, but it's still gorgeous to look at. And obviously that kind of the big payoff is the fight at the end. But like, I noticed that the whole way through, and I was like, that's not there's no shaky cam. You know, it's very crisp and clean, that's and believable.
That's impressive and kind of cool to hear, especially considering like I never considered Dune, at least reading the book, to be a very combat centric book. Like, no. It's a wartime book, but like a lot of the conflict either happens off screen or is particularly major, and it's a book about the kind of the politicking.
Yeah,
I found to be a book more about the kind of the politicking and the scheming in the ranks of there.
yes. Well, I mean, it's not like an action story. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But like, I think back to the first film, and like, there's a few combat things. Like, there's a lovely scene between kind of Josh Brolin's character and Paul, where they're learning kind of the fighting, and that pays off in the end with the fight to join the Fremen. But my memory of the combat there was that it was effective, but it was blunt, which was kind of impressive in its own way. It just looked like you were watching a real fight. Like it's done this left angle, right angle, left angle, like that thing of Liam Neeson going over the fence in 17 edits or whatever. Like none of that. And here it feels like they've found the balance between having it be that stark and still looking really crisp and effective and choreographed. It's a subtle change, but I noticed it. Like,
great, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, yeah, no, like it's a movie I am desperately trying to find the time to get to, but it's just carving out the time.
Yes, of course. But since we're talking about fighting, I suppose. Did you know that Final Fantasy was originally called Fighting Fantasy?
I think I have heard that kick. There's so many different like just little stories about the beginning of that franchise. Like I think it's even up in the air on if it was actually going to be Square's final game.
No, I mean, there's a YouTube channel I trust. I'm going to bring up the title of it now. Final Fantasy Union, which has been going quite methodically through the history of the company. And it's seemingly like it was supposed to be called Fighting Fantasy, but there was a bunch of novels, kind of mid-tier Game of Thrones type things, called Fighting Fantasy already in America. They wanted to sell it to America. But anyway, this is all a long segue to bring us to the fact that you've played the new Final Fantasy VII game.
Yeah, okay. Now, I know I complained about not carving out the time. However, I have spent about 86 hours playing Final Fantasy Rebirth.
And you,
I cannot pull
someone
myself
did
away.
maths on that. That's how many showings of Dune 2? At 30?
Just shy, about 29.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I think the maths is worth it. Personally. Okay.
Well,
so,
we're going to flip around now because I'm just finishing Final Fantasy VII for the original one for the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
I don't have a PlayStation 5. I haven't done any of the remakes. If it's not in a meme, I don't know anything about it. So tell me what the experience of going through what is, I think, the middle chapter in the Final Fantasy remake. Is that correct?
Yeah. See, it's actually funny. I think we're actually coming from different things because I've only really played the original Final Fantasy VII, and only very recently. I think I only played it just before I played Remake, or maybe just after, for the first time,
like
all the way
friends
through.
in the late 90s.
No,
everyone was passing that around my school,
No, I was hook, line, and sinker in Final Fantasy IX.
That's fair, but I would have thought you'd have come across Final Fantasy VII by accident.
I think I did, but having played 9 first, I looked at that and that looks dumb. Why do they look like toys?
Now, this monkey in shorts, this is my jam.
Yeah, this pirate monkey in shorts, this suave guy, Steiner, my man, they could never. But I've only really played the first one and watched Advent Children. They're like my two kind of like roots of Final Fantasy VII.
Whereas the years I'm trying to get you to play the Zack game, I've not.
That's it. Where I know you love Crisis Core.
Yeah, I like Dirge of Cerberus nostalgically, but I recognize its flaw. Crisis Core is just great.
So I think and also it's worth mentioning. I think this is a conversation. This is going to be more of a follow-up conversation from our episode of the Game Corner.
Game Corner, yes.
In 2020. So if you want my thoughts on
scroll for about 30 seconds on Spotify, it's there somewhere.
It's there somewhere. Where I got really into kind of discussion on the first remake there.
Oh, I can do better than that. The first episode I did here with Dara was the announcement of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah.
This is like the background like mystery arc of our series that's paying off eventually. Like the way they say, like in Doctor Who, they'll say, "Oh, it's the," and they'll mention it in the background, and then eventually will turn up. You know, that's our thing. That's our character arc. But anyway, I have heard nothing. I have not heard anything bad, which is amazing in this world. So I'm assuming it's good. So what's your kind of take on it?
I think I want to kind of just establish a little bit of a groundwork here because on two kind of major points. Because I'm gonna be a bit more clear about the first remake, where I was cagey at the time because that had just came out in the original Game Corner episode. But considering the Rebirth is kind of founded, like advertised and grounded on what remake did, I can be a bit more. I feel like I can be a bit more clear on it. Remake isn't a straight remaster and remake of Final Fantasy VII. It is almost a subversive take on its narrative.
Right. I heard the plot lines start to diverge a little bit near the end of the first one.
That's it. The one of the kind of the core things, for a start, it's they've, when this whole project was first named, they announced it was getting split. It's a remake of Final Fantasy VII that's getting split into 3 distinct parts, with the first game only covering the Midgar segment. Which is...
I mean, to be honest, having replayed the original Final Fantasy VII, if there's a way to kill my interest in a Final Fantasy remake, it'd be just the Midgar section. I know it's heresy, but I hate that bit of the game. It's so slow. There's so many.
In the original, absolutely, 100%. There's no there's a reason that only lasts for maybe 5 hours.
Like, I genuinely breathe fresh air into my lungs once I see that green outside. Yeah. Now, I know it's obviously does important stuff setting up the story and everything, and I fully appreciate that, but it doesn't make it fun. For me, the most fun is watching them go up the stairs.
But that's where, remake, it doesn't just gloss that up. It fleshes Midgar out into its own miniature world.
Okay, all right.
Makes it a fascinating city and expands on every minute aspect of that whole segment. And knows how to pick the shining moments. Okay. I think probably the highlight of the game is the Honeybee Inn segment, because people were kind of speculating.
That's some brave words to say, airing at 5 o'clock.
Wouldn't they people? I think beforehand people were thinking it was the part where Cloud gets an address and tries to seduce a mob boss. Oh, do you think they might tone that down for modern audience? No, they go the other way. They rank that up to 11. They make him getting put in the dress into a giant bombastic rhythm game. It's great.
Okay, you've got my attention.
So I think I said it in the Game Corner. Final Fantasy VII Remake was one of my favorite games of that year. I think it's a masterpiece. But what it did differently is that it introduced these idea of I can't remember what they were actually called now. These shadow ghosts,
right?
Where things where at any point things kind of aberrate from the progression of Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
These ghosts swoop in and correct to get things back on track.
So it's kind of like when you're replaying a game and you get echoes of previous playthroughs, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So as an example, at a point in remake, Barrett dies, and then a bunch of ghosts swoop in, and he's alive again. Because that's not how that's supposed to go.
A wizard did it. And you
end remake by basically destroying the source of those ghosts.
Okay, so basically anything could happen in the second one.
Yeah.
Even though...
Yeah, so the conceit of Rebirth now is...
Okay.
Yeah, so the conceit of Rebirth now is kind of any sense of fate or ordained order as per the Final Fantasy VII canon out the window.
Okay.
And while and the game kind of hammers that home by the last shot of Remake being Zack Fair dragging Cloud away from where he died at the end of Crisis Core.
Okay, well then, what can you tell me about, because I'm a blank canvas, what can you tell me about the rough story or even structure of the newer game?
I won't get, I won't get into, details, because it's a fresh game, and, the big conceit of it is, what do they do? But in terms of the structure, this game, whereas, as I mentioned, the first remake is pretty solely focused on just Midgar and is a mostly very linear game. That I think at a leisurely pace was maybe 30 to 40 hours.
Right.
The scope of Rebirth truly just has exploded out. This game is gargantuan. Where, as I said, Midgar is fairly closed off. This feels like a true AAA budget, high quality 3D remake of what the open world Final Fantasy VII world was.
Okay, I'm thrilled to hear that, because my memories of because I've played as many Final Fantasy games as I can get my hands on, not the online ones unfortunately, but I've played 13 and 15. And 13 more than 15. I remember the environments being very pretty, but very sparse. Not a lot of things you can kind of do in them. There's a reason you're given a car in 15 and the ability to let someone else drive it. Big space, nothing to do in it. So that isn't the problem in this new game.
It is and it isn't. Okay. I do think its size does it does buckle under the weight of its own size at points.
Okay.
It does suffer from having big wide open spaces and not a lot to do in them. More than 15 for sure. But you at least definitely in the first open area, because there's several massive open maps.
Right.
With tick boxes of activities to do in them. You spend that first phase, you're kind of walking around so this is a big open field. Where do I go?
Well, because I've just done Final Fantasy VII, I'm assuming it follows the same geography. You've got
roughly, yeah. So you'll follow from
Condor and God Help Us Costa del Sol and all those kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah. In very broad terms, this covers about the portion from them leaving Midgar up to about Temple of the Ancients.
Right.
If that kind of gives you,
in and of itself is a sense of its scale, because I know from playing the original right now that does not get to the end of disc 1 out of 3. Now I know that doesn't necessarily cover the whole narrative, because disc 3 just covers the last act, because suddenly you've an airship and the whole world's open to you. That's more of a RAM space issue, but still. Yeah. It's a sense of how much there is still to go, unless they really compress things going forward, Well,
I mean, at the track they're going, it's getting exponentially bigger.
Okay.
But also, where I think where a lot of Rebirth definitely mirrors comparison to its original in a lot of the broader narrative beats. It's difficult to say if the yet unnamed third installment even halfway resembles what the end
okay, all right,
that's up in the air. Now, I also still haven't finished Rebirth. This game is goddamn long.
How many more Dunes have you to go?
How many what?
How many more screenings of Dune in terms of time do you have left?
Hard to say. I would say about 3 to 6 more Dunes.
3 to 6 more Dunes. Those worms are getting hungry.
Potentially now. I could be way wrong. There's the game's split into is broken up into chapters.
Okay.
I just started the last chapter, but the third to last chapter is suddenly oh, here's a boat to explore the giant ocean crevice here, And also all of the mini games now have extra modes. Go hog wild. I'm like, guys, it's so long already.
So can I ask, do you have all of the playable characters from the original, or is that a spoiler?
No, I don't think it's a spoiler. You have most. Everybody's been introduced.
Okay.
But Vincent and Sid aren't playable. I'll say that.
Okay, that's probably a fair concession. It's a shame. Most Final Fantasy games now, they've kind of reduced the party size for practical reasons.
Yeah.
But like kind of down to, I think 15 had 4 characters that you just had the whole game, maybe a guest now and again. Like I miss the old days of like big rosters of rotate because it makes it more customizable, you know?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is one of my favorite things about this new kind of franchise, the Final Fantasy VII, is that it's a more real-time action game than a turn-based combat. There's strategic elements to it where you can stop mid-combat and issue commands. It's much like 50s, or kind of a Kingdom Hearts style. But it's for the most part, it's real-time kind of action combat. But you can play and control every single character that's playable, and each of them have an extremely distinct style of play.
Okay, all right.
Like
Are we
Cloud
talking
is
like Kingdom Hearts kind of fast-paced kind of thing?
Well, that's the thing. It depends on who you play, because Cloud is your heavy, tanky sword where you have a whole parry mechanic and you can switch between like stances of heavy attacks and light attacks. Barret is a walking turret.
Right.
That is all range attacks. Tifa, you play Tifa and the game suddenly becomes Bayonetta with just I'm not kidding. Like, it's just very fast-paced melee and just racking combos and like dodging. Aerith is a game of magic play where you're just trying to like measure MP costs.
Yeah.
And so they were all the characters introduced in the first one. So in this one now you have Red, Kate Sith, and Yuffie.
Oh, Yuffie still made the cut then. Okay.
Oh yeah, Vincent and Yuffie aren't optional now. They're mandatory parts of the game now.
Right. Okay. I suppose because you have to create more mechanics. You'd have to incorporate Vincent's transformation, and also you'd have another shooting character. I guess that's probably a fair, unless they're saving him for game 3. That seems like a fair concession.
Probably, I think that's probably the tact. You know, Sid and Vincent get introduced, I'd say, well past the halfway point of Rebirth.
Yeah.
So it'd be late in the game for them to introduce a whole new set of mechanics.
Yeah.
And also, they need something to sell the third game. So
because
I'm not
famously, Final Fantasy games are very hard to sell.
Sell more.
Yeah.
But also, the game, we've already got 3 more completely distinct playable characters. So
look, I'm not getting the impression they're scrimping. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, so that's like, and you can choose for the most part to play any of those 7 characters interchangeably at any given time.
And can I ask, because I'm very old-fashioned, is the combat like all free range? Like there isn't like a lightning strike, now we're in a fighting arena type thing?
Oh yeah, no, it's all there. You run up to a monster and just start hitting it.
So Cloud can just lift out his sword in a cafe or something like.
Oh yeah, no, you can smash boxes just in a room. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts-y, Final Fantasy 15 type mechanics. Okay. 13 is a lot to answer for killing the time-based mechanics, I must say.
Yeah, but there's 16. They got a Devil May Cry, one of the Devil May Cry combat coordinators on, and that game just rules.
Oh, I'm sure it's amazing. It's just when I think of Final Fantasy, I think of like turn. I still love the new stuff. It's just
also,
sort of like it's like when practical effects move over to CGI in movies. You kind of go,
yeah.
Oh,
also,
I get it,
for the record, you're saying 13 is laying the blame. 12 has a lot to answer for if you're putting 13 on the block.
Well,
there.
12 is actually free roaming though. It doesn't have the we're in a fight now thing.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It had like the turn-based combat system was gone before the PS2 was gone.
Well, I
It's
mean,
been a
10 and
while.
10-2 have amazing turn-based combat. Really fun and energetic ones.
Oh, 10 has probably, yeah, no, absolutely. 10 has, I
7
think, the best
characters
combat.
swapping in and out, job changing within 5 seconds. Like, you know,
It's the
potentially
little thing.
hundreds of moves at your disposal at all times, as
I-
well
my
as like
fa-
extra mechanics. Like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
like,
my favorite point of 10's combat was just seeing the order of the order of actions
alongside,
because
yeah.
it meant you could have such a level of strategy and like and plan so many moves ahead without like a random chance element. I loved it. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, so as I was saying, you know, part of the groundwork is how Remake and Rebirth are shaking up the canon. But it also has the benefit of taking place, of now coming out after the anthology of Final Fantasy VII stuff has come out. And so it can kind of fold back into itself all the things from Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus.
I did notice they recast some of the voices in the new Crisis Core, and I was wondering if that was a layover from... Because, like, I think I mentioned this back when we reviewed it, like, the audio still exists. So that's a very deliberate effort, like, you know?
I don't know, actually. Because, again, still play Crisis Core.
Yeah.
But because, you know, I know bits of it. I watched YouTube videos about it, and I know the broader strokes. And so I could I won't say where, but when Cisne shows up, I could point to the screen and go, "You!"
Oh, right, the redheaded.
Yeah, the Turk. Yeah.
Yes,
so
because she just kind of vanishes. Is it worth even getting into the fact that like there is a mobile phone game about the Turks that has really important backstory that never made it out of Japan? That's really frustrating. I'm hoping that someone's like played it in English and put it on YouTube or something. Because there's loads of stuff I want to know from that.
But yeah, so on top of it being kind of it's such a fascinating like piece of media, and I love when things get subversive like this, in that it has the benefit now of being a sequel to that like 20-30 years of kind of like drip-feeded franchise building.
Well, it's just astounding that people are liking it, because like it's a bit like remaking Star Wars A New Hope. It's like all you're doing, obviously people will turn up, but all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot because this is so iconic. The fact that people have really responded to this is a huge positive indication. Like,
oh, big time. But I mean, it like as you're probably getting playing it again, and as I got from playing it, only about 3 or 4 years ago, it's a testament to just how well that original game stands up.
Yes.
Graphics aside,
a few mini games I could do without, but by and large, like I think just because we were talking about Super Eye Patch Wolf a few weeks ago, did you ever notice the lovely detail he caught where it's implied that Rude has a crush on Tifa? So if she's like in the party, even if she's going there, he'll never attack her. Like, it's such a dense level of programming and thought. Like, it's incredible.
And listen, this is completely dependent on like your own circles and what you think and what you watch and what have you. But it was so shocking to me that I didn't know every twist that game had. I thought I knew every twist that game had coming. I was sincerely wrong.
Are you talking about the original or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the whole we'll say the whole Zack affair of it all.
Yeah.
Sidewinded me.
Oh, and they signpost it really well. If you go to like the Nibelheim labs, all of the information is written down on notes. And read it, like.
Yeah, no, it's an astounding game. And yeah, no, I'm thoroughly enjoying Rebirth. I will probably report back again once I've finished it.
Yeah.
And then maybe one of these days I'll play Crisis Core, and then we can actually have a conversation about that.
I might
but-
even just give you my Switch at this rate.
But in the meantime, we are actually out of time.
Oh, sugar. I had so much more to say about Final Fantasy. But you know what? That's a sign of a very good conversation and hopefully a good podcast. So, before we wrap, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Not currently. There's some news for the podcast coming down the pipeline, but I think I need Dara's say so to get into it. So for now, keep posted on the socials.
Keep watching the skis. Go see Dune 2.
Go see Dune 2. Take it from someone who hasn't seen Dune 2. Go see Dune 2.
He is the Messiah and not a very naughty boy. He probably is too. However.
And he's been Kian, and I've been Kev. And you can find us all on all of our socials at Nerd to Know Media. You can find us on our website at nerdtoknowmedia.com. All of our links are up on there. And until next time, I've been Kev.
I've been Kian. Dara was supposed to be here and never turned up. If you see him, tell him we miss him.
Put him on a milk carton.
All right. Bye-bye now.
See you now. Bye.
Alright, so you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland, how do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Hey Dara, what are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, with you give me a Brooklyn Blaze. With you. Dara? Yeah, Dara. Why ain't you over here with Joey? Anyway, we missed you, dude. So, this is Bill Karibo saying,
I love it.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.